Don't forget, Thursday night, exclusively WBBZ-TV, broadcast home of the Bills-Browns, 6 o'clock pregame, kickoff 8:25, followed by the postgame show. And then Friday night, it's a special Friday night edition of the Fred Jackson Show. Friday Night Lights, 7:30, Fred Jackson. His guest, Marcel Darius, will be on the Fred Jackson Show. Well, Bob Kaczynski back in studio with Paul Peck, who will be my co-host on Thursday night's Bills-Browns pregame show, and we'll stay up very late for two old guys for the postgame show. Last year, I think we were here till maybe 1 in the morning.
Oh, don't even. Hey, you know what? That'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be good.
Okay, Buffalo Bills. When the schedule makers, when the NFL Network picked Browns-Bills for week number 5, I'm sure there was a lot of moans and groans across the country. But this game now actually has some substance.
Well, I think when they picked it, it was because they had to pick everybody, had to get everybody on at least once. So yeah, you're right. This did not look like a game that was going to be of much interest, but all of a sudden you've got two teams on 2-game winning streaks with some kind of neat stories about some unexpected players that have started to emerge. So yeah, it's kind of looking like it might be a lot of fun. I wish the Bills were a little healthier because I think it would make for a lot better game, and obviously the short week is what concerns you about the injuries.
This Bills team, Paul, they could be 4-0, they could be 0-4.
Yeah. I think you could say that about almost every team in the NFL. You know, it was actually my dad that I was discussing the Bills game with the other night, and he's like, how could the Bills lose to the Jets and come back and beat the Ravens? How could the Ravens beat the Texans and lose to the Bills? And my best explanation was the NFL right now is about 3 really good teams, about 3 really bad teams, and 26 teams that are 1 or 2 plays away from beating each other on any given week.
Right.
Matchups, injuries, coaching, luck. That's kind of what the NFL is. And the Bills and the Browns are right smack in the middle of that group of teams that if they play well and they're healthy and they have good matchups, they can beat anybody and they can lose to anybody. So 4-0, 0-4 is you could say that for about a lot of teams.
And we're seeing more than ever, and especially here in Buffalo, injuries are becoming so much a part of the NFL.
Well, and it always is, and it's, you know why, Bob? Because the depth isn't there for anybody anymore. The salary cap has eliminated teams' ability to stockpile players at positions. Generally, if you lose your starter, you're going to a young, untested rookie because of the salary cap, because a player who's a 3 or 4 year veteran isn't going to stick around to be a backup when he can go somewhere else and be a starter somewhere. So, you know, again, I mean, the Patriots lose Vince Wilfork. They're throwing an undrafted free agent in to have to replace him. You know, at least the Bills, in the case of the running back position, if it has to be Tashard Choice for a significant amount of time, at least that's a guy that's been around 4 or 5 years.
All the focus has been on rookie E.J. Manuel. First of all, your take on his first 4 games.
Every week he gets better. Every week he doesn't seem to make the same mistakes he made the week before. He did not play very well against the Jets. The passes were not accurate, but you know what? He came back and he made accurate passes and he improved upon his performance against the Jets. That's what I see in E.J. Manuel, a cool, calm, collected kid who's smart enough to know, okay, I didn't do that so well. That was the first time I saw that. Now I'm ready for it the next time it comes. And
while all the focus has been on rookie E.J. Manuel, rookie linebacker Kiko Alonso is suddenly leading the league in interceptions.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, his athletic ability, his sideline-to-sideline ability, just the sheer athletic moves that he makes to some of those interceptions were incredible athletic plays. You just don't see a linebacker with 4 interceptions in a season most times.
You know, yesterday I had a chance to go out to the locker room and do some interviews for the pregame show, so it was my first chance to see Kiko up close and personal. He really looks more like a strong safety than a linebacker.
Not real big, is he?
He's not a huge guy, but obviously he's extremely athletic.
Well, and again, that's a decision that the Bills staff made to draft a guy who isn't a 250-pound middle linebacker. You got a 235-pound guy, so you use him to his strengths, which is sideline to sideline, dropping in pass coverage, you know, jumping on routes. That's what he does well. Don't ask him to stand in there and take on guards. He's not built for that.
Okay, we don't want to waste too much about the Bills. We've got to do 2 hours of this Thursday night.
We got a lot to talk about.
UB Bulls, you're the voice of the Bulls. They're coming off of 2 straight wins, although it was a little hairy, 2 weeks ago.
Win's a win. That's
but they did what they had to do against UConn.
I know. And the UConn game game was as impressive a performance by a UB team that I've seen in years, maybe going back to the 2018 that won the MAC championship. It was a complete and total domination in offense, defense, and special teams against a team that had beaten them 12 of the last 13 times they had played, 4 years in a row. A team from whatever you want to call it, it's a BCS conference at a big level, and they play big-time sports, and UB just dominated them so much that they fired their coach because of it. I was incredibly impressed with what I saw from the Bulls, and you're seeing some of the highlights here now. And I think when you and I had this discussion back in the summer about what we thought the UB season could be like, and I stuck my neck out a little bit to say that I thought this was going to be a very, very good team that had a potential to go to a bowl game. We saw what the potential can be with this team in that game on Saturday.
You know, everybody was excited about the performance against Ohio State, and then they go down to Baylor and just get
done to between what everybody else is
between the heat on the field and the heat on the field from the other team. It was just a really tough game. But do you think the Bulls have righted the ship now?
Well, I think they shook off the Stony Brook game, which certainly wasn't the game that they expected it was going to be. And again, however ugly it was, they made the plays they needed to make, and they got the luck they needed to make in order to win the game. And right now, we're not really worrying about Stony Brook after the way they played against UConn. All it is a 2-game winning streak now. You throw away those first 2 games by the nature of the competition. You can say Ohio State, they did a lot of things well, and that is a plus on the UB side. I think a lot of teams are going to be done by Baylor what Baylor did to UB. I think Baylor is going to compete for a national championship, to be very honest with you. I was that impressed by the talent, the skill level, and the way they run their offense. Stony Brook was a bad game. Every team has them, but you know what? It was a bad game, and they figured out a way to win.
Paul, thanks for being on. When we come back, we're going to have a feature on a young man, Rich Gensler, who you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
Because the fan carries the Bulls games. But
absolutely.
We'll see you Thursday night, 6 o'clock.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, we come back. Rich Gensler, voice of the fan, 1270, right after this.